Hello again everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today marks episode 1 of our new tutorial series focused on the Synaptic Simulations / iniBuilds A220 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, a very warm welcome to you wherever you are in the world. Hit like, hit subscribe, share your thoughts and your tips and tricks as we progress through our journey across the next few episodes down in the comments section below. If you haven't got your hands on this aircraft yet and you're watching this post-release rather than pre-release, then the links will be down in the description below as well. We are going to start off today cold and dark in the A220. And the aim, as always with my tutorials, is not to overload you and overwhelm you with a significant amount of gumph and complicated procedure, but enough to get you flying from A to B really confidently so you can get on VATSIM or IVAO and enjoy the aeroplane and then begin your kind of jumpstart, turbocharge your learning journey. So we're going to fly from Riga today in this beautiful Air Baltic livery. And we're going to be flying to London Gatwick, a real-world route operated by Air Baltic, and it's a flight time of about 2 hours 40 or so minutes. We're going to be exploring in this episode cold and dark through to Pushback, and then episode 2 is going to focus on Pushback, engine start, taxi, takeoff, climb to cruise, and then episode 3, as always, leads us into the descent phase, planning an ILS approach into London Gatwick. So, we begin, as I mentioned a moment ago, cold and dark, and I'll pre-note this with the fact that you're going to require a Navigraph Unlimited subscription if you want some of the advanced features. And before we do anything else, we're going to turn our attention to the tablet, and we've already pre-planned our route. You can pick wherever you wish. I'll put our route in the description so you can copy that if you want to. And we need to connect our flight plan with our SimBrief account. As you can see there, it's missing the username. We're going completely raw with this. So we're going to go into settings. And we're going to click third party settings. And I'm going to leave Navigraph charts on. Go ahead and log into your Navigraph account if you haven't done so already. And go and grab your SimBrief ID or username from your SimBrief user account, and you can go ahead and pop that in like so. That's going to get both of those linked in. We're going to initially take a little look at the aircraft settings because I'm going to fly this in kilograms, and you can change IRS align times to instant, fast or real. I'm going to select fast for today. We're going to sync the barrows so we don't have to change 3 or so different QNHs. And depending on your performance, you might want to turn the external visual effects on or off. We're going to leave this as it is, but you can set a keybind if you want to. So if, for example, I set K, what that does is it recognizes the input, locks all of the controls of the aeroplane so we can't inadvertently trigger something, and it will then allow us to use our own physical keyboard to type stuff out, which is pretty nifty. You can change your audio settings and configure your call-out settings based on your preferences. That's all there is to that. We're going to go ground equipment, and we're going to attach the ground power unit. What's beautiful with this is you can change your cabin lighting if you want to as well, so you can fiddle around and tweak some of the colours to make them bespoke to your own preferences. So import from SimBrief, there it is, our routing for today. Grab a screenshot if you want, and you can see the route string below. And that then automatically pulls in our loading as well, so we can go into our load sheets, SimBrief import, so we sync that into this page, and we can just go ahead and load the aeroplane straight away. Really easy. And for now, with the ground equipment and the GPU attached, we're going to turn our attention to the rest of the aircraft. So with the ground power unit attached, what we're going to do is go straight into the overhead panel, and we're going to pop battery 1 onto auto, battery 2 onto auto. It's going to bring some power to the aircraft. We'll see the displays on the top here light up, and then eventually the display units will start to kick in as well, with display unit 2 first, and we'll see then display unit 1 take the PFD. While it does that, we can go to external power. We can just clear the master caution for now. Nav lights are already on, good. And then back on the overhead panel, think of flying this as a bit of a blend between Boeing, Airbus and the Embraer E-Jets. It's kind of like a patchwork of all of them, and all of the brilliance between the three variants kind of grabbed into one aircraft, because this originally was basically a Bombardier C-Series, which was then bought out by Airbus and taken off them, purchased off them. We're going to go turn the hydraulic systems all onto automatic there in the center stack of the overhead panel. And looking at the rest of the aircraft, we are pretty good. So what we could do is just change some of the light settings so that we can get the aeroplane set up as we wish. Turn up some of the entrance lighting as well if we want to. And we can just make sure up here the ELT is set to that centralized arm position as well. Now you'll notice that a lot of this is already on by default, which is great. If you load in, for example, and the windshield heat is already off like this, then at some point prior to push you can go ahead and turn them on. But think of it like Boeing, no white lights. If you've got a light illuminated, it's probably because it's off. And rather it be white, it's yellow. Very intuitive aeroplane. And very automated. So now we're going to plan our flights. You can see down here we've got our checklists all ready to go. So we've got like the power on, battery 1, battery 2, ECLs on DU2. That's already pre-ticked itself, and we're going to leave the APU off, but we've got external power on. So that's good. We can click complete. And then we're on to our pre-flight checks. It's our first flight of the day, but we can basically just go through and check all of this. And we'll stop at altimeters for now. Just going to press B to preset that ready to go. And then we turn our attention to planning. So, we've got a number of options on the aeroplane, and it depends on your preference. A lot of you will no doubt like to just leave it here on the kind of where the FMS or the MCDU would typically be. If you want to though, you can put it on the nav unit here. So you can just on the top of the glare shield press FMS and it will load up here, which means that you're less kind of head down in the aeroplane. It's very, very smart indeed. But we're going to leave it as it is, as one less thing to tick for now, and then as you get used to the aeroplane you can go ahead and tinker and move stuff around based on your preference. So all we are going to do is, there we go, allow the IRS to align. It's just done that as I was saying that. So importing SimBrief. You're going to press on the secondary flight plan first. So we're on the top of FMS1, change to secondary, and we're going to go flight plan uplink, and here you want to put in your SimBrief username or ID or both, and you press send. It's then going to load everything up and show as complete. You basically just follow those instructions. Once you've done that, you can see that it's loaded in our origin and our destination and our cruise altitude. We can pop in to the flight number box up here, our flight number, which today is BTI 87 Alpha. And if you want to, you can pop an estimated time of departure in, which would be in Zulu time. I'll put in 1048Z today for the purpose of completing that. And then we can look in the route section here and we can actually view our route string, our sequence of waypoints, all in the secondary flight plan still. Within it we can go into performance and we can see what it's pulling in, look, with our cruise profile of Mach 7.8 for our duration of our flight today. And once we are happy with that, we can just press activate secondary. Happy with that. So we're going to go activate secondary, execute. And now that's the active flight plan that it's pulled in, right? So super easy, but you have to take that step of loading in your SimBrief flight plan via the secondary flight plan page of the FMS first, then you move on in. Now once it's in the active flight plan section, what we're going to do is import the winds. So we're going to go winds temp, flight plan wind request, and you can see there that it's loaded it all in, and we can scroll through and view the winds aloft at each of the waypoints. It's really smart. And then same with the rest of our flight plan. We're going to work through all of that in a moment. Now because we've already gone in and loaded this, if you've missed that step, press SimBrief import, press load aircraft. It's going to pull all of that in. And we want to take the zero fuel weight and the current weight. Current weight there is really easy. We can just say that's 60 tons or 60,000 kilograms. But we need that zero fuel weight, look. So what is that? 51848, 51.9. 51848. We'll pop that in the box in full. And the center of gravity, 27.3 for the zero fuel weight. And that's the zero fuel weight center of gravity. And you can see then that it's given us our gross weight and the relevant figures. So that matches, look, current weight, which is our total weight, 59993, 26% center of gravity, 59993, 26%. Perfect. For the flight today on our SimBrief plan, we have 140 passengers on board. So we're going to insert that. And our block fuel is 8145. And for the purpose of today, we're going to leave the rest of it as it is. Now you'll see here, FMS, fuel on board mode, is calculated or sensed. We're just going to leave that uncalculated for now, and we're going to make sure we then put the fuel planning pages in, look. And that is that section done. Performance. So, on the EFB we have a takeoff performance page. What we can do on the top is press sync FMS, sync weather. We've got runway 18 for the departure today. And it's pulled all of that in for us. Packs on, anti-ice off, thrust config auto, flap settings it's recommending is 2. And we can see there we've got the right units as well on the left, so we're going to press calculate, and there we go, it's given us that data. So thrust takeoff 2, V1 134, rotate 138, V2 142. So takeoff 2. Outside air temperature is 21 degrees. We'll take all this data, we'll feed that into the FMS. We're going to change that to climb profile 2 for a smoother noise abatement climb. We're going to change the departure profile to the noise abatement procedure. We're going to change it to 1,000 feet. Oh, that's the acceleration and thrust reduction altitudes then, all sorted out. But that's effectively what our performance page for the departure is going to look like. We're going to set V speeds. They're going to bake themselves into the primary flight display. And we're going to press execute. So we can make sure we commit those changes. because we've done a lot over the last few minutes. Now, on the bottom here, on this little touchpad menu panel with the buttons, we're going to press departure and arrival. We're going to press on departures, and we're going to select runway 18, which is our departure runway today, and then we want the VALED 2 Foxtrot departure. You see it loading in onto the screen there, and actually on the screen on the nav display we can just execute that, look, or we could press execute down there if we wish. A couple of different options for you to consider. And then for Gatwick, we may as well put it in. We're going to go for the ILS 26 left. And it's going to be the timber transition. And then we're going to press view all. And we're looking for the TEBRA 2 Golf. Just going to reselect timber, ILS 26 left, done. Execute looks, got the little green light on it, we're going to press that. And then in our flight plan, what we can do is find some average winds. And the average wind in the cruise is going to be 285 at 56. So we can pop that in the box, and we'll execute that. So, flight plan is ready to go. Our winds are imported, we've sorted out our fuel tab, and we've prepared our performance. We can look forwards into climb, and we can see what it's expecting to do, and we need to change the transition altitude, which here in Riga, in beautiful Latvia, is 5,000 feet. So 5,000, transition, execute, and you can see that the 10,000 feet limit changed to flight level 100. Cruise, we can change that speed strategy if we want to by amending that. And then in the descent phase, again the transition altitude will need to be changed, and we're probably looking around 7,000, so we're going to just pop that in advance, just so we make sure that we've got a rough correct figure that's near the right ballpark. We'll verify that with the ATIS later on, and then we'll look at this page when we get closer. So altimeter set. Center panel is all of this. We can go ahead and turn the radio stacks up if we want to. Set all this up as we want. And for our departure today, the initial climb clearance is to 4,000 feet, so we can go and set that on the box. 175 is our runway heading on runway 18, so we need to spin this all the way around to 175. That's set. And we're going to make sure that the speed mode is on FMS. And then we can turn our attention to the comm stack. While we're here, I'm just going to turn the flight directors on. And what we want to do is change to tower. So we're on the VATSIM network for today. We're going to go to 118.105. It's nearly there. We can just tune using the right hand dial here. And then we can press that button to switch it across. While we're here, we're going to go on and arm VNav and nav modes. You can see there they're flicking away, and toga. We're going to push that button there, and we're going to get toga modes, the takeoff modes, all prepped on the primary flight display. We want to make sure the emergency exit lights are in the armed position before we board. But obviously we're kind of skipping that today. And we're going to have seatbelt signs automatic and no Wi-Fi. We can pop on automatic as well. Let's turn the APU on. So we're going to flick that once, flick it twice. Let it crank and then flick back into the run switch position. And we can see then on the DU3 here, that APU starting to fire up. But in the meantime, let's get our clearance. Brigger Tower, good morning to you. Air Baltic 87 Alpha is on stand 307 and Airbus A220 with information Delta. Request clearance to London Gatwick.
Air Baltic 87 Alpha, Brigger Tower, good evening. Take information Echo. You cleared the destination, VALED to Foxtrot departure, out of runway 18 and squawk 4320.
We're checking information Echo and we're cleared to London Gatwick, VALED to Foxtrot departure, runway 18, squawk 4320, Baltic 87 Alpha.
Baltic 87 Alpha, repeat is correct.
So, clearance is done. Now let's set our transponder code. We've got a couple of options again here. We can either press in here to activate it and change the data, or what we can do is press CNS and we open up the comm stack in here, which is really cool. We can press into the transponder TCAS menu, and within it we can go ahead and pop our squawk code in, so 4320. We can make sure we've got our flight ID put in here as well. We've set it everywhere else, we need to pop it into here. Today we are BTI 87 Alpha. And then what have we got here? So we got automatic, traffic modes on, transponder 1, and that's all shown as normal as well. So that's actually pretty good. I'm happy with that. When we get towards the runway, we can change that manually to TARA if we wish. We're going to press done for now, and that's set in the box, ready to go. And on the standby frequency, you can see we've already got 122.8 ready to go. Currently, as I record this, there is no data link or CPDLC Hoppy ACAS integration. Pedal set, rudder trim set, side stick set, oxygen masks, FDRAS. We'll complete that before start checks. Seatbelt signs on. You can see that's automatically then ticked, and then these are going to sort themselves out as well in a moment. So all we're going to do now is, if we're using GSX, connect the pushback tug and prepare for push and start. That's the end of episode 1. I hope you found it really useful. Hit like, hit subscribe if you've not done so already, and join us for the next episode, which is going to continue straight on from here as we begin our pushback for a journey to London Gatwick in the iniBuilds / Synaptic Simulations A220 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. But in the meantime, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.